Greetings, explorers. Welcome to another live old world exploration. Um, the purpose of this live, I guess we don't even need to have a purpose, do we? Is to promote a book I recently worked on over the past year. It's called The Matrix Reloaded Yet Again, with John and Melissa Reizer. Now, John, you've seen on the channel before. This might be Melissa's first time on, I'm not sure. But we were going to talk a little bit about the idea for the book and some of the things you might find interesting if you get the book. And we're also going to be getting into their recent trip to Washington, D.C. We have a slideshow to present to you. We'll be looking at that slideshow through old world eyes, I suppose you could say. And without further ado, let me show you the trailer for our upcoming book, and then we'll bring John and Melissa in. And before I bring John and Melissa in, I just want to let you guys know that they are in that storm zone. So we might have a choppy connection here as we go through the show today, but I hope you will appreciate that and stick with us nonetheless. And without further ado, here they are. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having us on.
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to you again.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, yes.
And now, John, you had that trailer put together, didn't you, for the book?
Yes, I did. I'm not at that level of a skill set that I could do that.
I think you know great.
but I'm pleased. I basically wrote the storyboard for it, which if people don't know what a storyboard is, you create different scenes and you write what you want in it, and then I had it put together. If I had the time to do that, I could probably figure out it, but I don't. and but yeah, I wrote the storyboard for it. But yeah, and I think it's a good little trailer that kind of represents what we as a collective did together in putting that book together. It'll be out soon.
It makes me think of the days I was still stuck in the Matrix, and I'd look forward to those Hollywood movies. You know, you'd have all this anticipation. This movie's coming out in 4 months. That's all I'm going to think about for the next 4 months. Is it has that feel, that sort of trailer feel. You know, I like it.
I like to do that. I like to put those teasers out there.
And this is your YouTube channel. You have the website nofakenews.net, and if you guys haven't been there, you should really be checking John's website out. He's been doing this for quite some time. He's been outside of the Matrix for quite some time and has a lot of valuable insights to share. So certainly recommend you checking out his website, nofakenews.net.
Yeah, we've been doing that for I've been doing that for over 12 years now, and the audience has grown from a few people to quite a few. We get people from all over the world that go on that site, thousands of people, sometimes a day, sometimes 15, 20, 30,000 a month. It's been as high, but it's pretty informative site, and I have a couple of guest writers that also come on and add some very good information and content as well. So we're just trying to bring a clear picture that you don't always get or rarely ever get on the national or international mainstream media sources platforms. So.
You're if you'll permit me, you're one of those old school awake guys. Old school.
Oh yeah.
I'm an old school awake guy.
Seeing through the
But, you
matrix
know,
for quite some time now, right? Yeah.
yeah. But I'll tell you, and Melissa can tell. Melissa's the one that actually introduced me to the old world information. She found your channel before I did.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I was, well, first of all, when we would travel, I would look at some of these buildings and like the two of us would be like, how did they do that? And then I've been reading and I write about different lands and I kind of found your site on YouTube, just kind of seeing what was out there. And Chris, we haven't been the same.
yeah, once
Yeah.
she showed me your channel, and your channel was one of the first old world channels that I watched. And within about 15 to 20 minutes, I paused it and I turned to her and I said, "This is going to be probably the biggest new discipline of study. This tied for me personally. That was my aha moment. This tied everything together because I've known a lot of things since I'm 10 years old. And I've known things, and I've questioned many things that most people would be afraid to talk about publicly. But when I saw this basically put everything together for me. It made everything seem very logical, and was the missing link for me, and I'm sure for Melissa too.
Yeah. Well, I think the two of us sat there in one night and watched, I don't know how many of his.
We binged a lot of content on your site, and then of course we've looked at other people as well, but our favorite is you.
Well, the check's in the mail, John. I paid you to say that. I always say I'm not not that tech savvy, although I'm learning a few things as I go here with this. But really, my presentations are quite basic. It's just a screen capture with a slideshow and a little bit of flash here and there. And it does.
Well,
it's not about the flash, really, is it? With this content.
The best movies in the world, in my opinion, are the ones without a lot of CGI. It's gotten to the point where they use CGI, and it was good. It made it look real, but they use so much CGI in Hollywood productions now that it doesn't look real.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it ruins it. You're right. Yeah, and they've sort of stripped it away, and things have become a little more basic in a lot of areas as far as that goes. They kind of copped onto that, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about too, before we move on, the view count on our trailer. This is a good story, and I think worth sharing here for sure. It hasn't budged in about a month and a half, 2 months. We're still at 5.1 thousand views.
Yeah. Well, when we put the trailer out initially, it was, I put it on my website, and generally there's traffic that will go there. And I noticed we've been higher than 5,000 views. I believe we were 6,000 or 7,000 views, and we lose views. And it just mysteriously fall off. And of course, you talk to people, they'll say, well, YouTube will remove fake views or whatever their rationale is. But I have a different look. I think that it's censorship. I think that they play with numbers. I know they play with numbers on my website. I know that my on nofakenews.net for years, there have been attempts to shadow ban it, marginalize the content, remove posts. I lose things all the time and it's a WordPress platform, so it shouldn't be happening, but it does. The content that's on my website during 2020 through 2021, 2022, it just went crazy. And then a lot of things began happening where things were removed. And I'm not going to get into the specifics of everything that I write about, but let's just say that the subjects that I write about and have written about for years, there's thousands of articles that I write. They're very polarizing. And so we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And some of the things that I predicted that would happen in a certain time span based on my background in microbiology happened. And I think I was pretty well onto what was going on at the time. So there was a lot. My traffic on that site increased drastically. Of course, there were a lot of people that had nothing better to do during that time than to go on and search for information. So, You
Yeah,
know, that's
it's like there's an active content suppression going on, right? It's not overt censorship because that almost draws too much attention to it. It's like a suppression, a marginalization that seems to be occurring with the old world stuff and a lot of other stuff too.
well, absolutely. The old world stuff will definitely draw the interest of a lot of people. The thing that's, when you look at conspiracies or out of the box subjects, one of the first things that people will say is, well, where's the proof? People want proof. They want proof unless they're given proof, and then they don't believe the proof. But with the old world buildings and the old world research, the evidence is the buildings, and they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. And for years, and I'm preaching to the choir, obviously, but for years, people would go around, you look at these tremendous buildings, and you see them in movies. We're big movie watchers,
yeah.
and they love to put old world buildings in movies, the beginning of movies.
Yeah.
And they're almost like they're putting it in your face. And you think, well, these people 700-800 years ago in Europe, 900, they built these buildings that would require, they would require massive amounts of heavy operating equipment. The technology to do these things is impossible. But yet there they are.
Yeah.
And the theory is, well, they just worked hard.
Yeah.
They worked hard those days.
Yeah.
They took
I've been.
pride.
Yeah. Go ahead, Melissa.
I'm sorry. It's like we got away with, well, they took more pride in their work, and now we don't. I mean,
well, there's an element of truth to that too, right? But it's way bigger than they just worked harder and they were better at what they did.
Yeah.
That's what we're finding out is that the problem is the timeline, right? They're giving us a timeline that doesn't fit. So you find one lie, you got to know there's probably other lies kicking around.
And it's not, and like you say, Chris, and you've said this many times in on the air and off the air with us in personal conversations. It's not that we don't believe that a technology existed that could build these things. We don't think that these were built by, I don't think that they were built by people that weren't human. I just think that the timelines and the narratives that we've been told are completely not true. They're just not truthful narratives. And if you look at that, then that's what we have to go by, because we can only go by the narratives and the official history that we're given.
Yeah. Yeah, I think genetic manipulation is a major factor going on. I think there's a good chance that we were manipulated. Our DNA was effed with, if you will, and we were a different form existed in a different form previously. I think it's that dramatic as far as that goes.
Well, I totally agree with you. And coming from a microbiology background, when I first started studying human biology and physiology and genetics and DNA, I knew years ago, in looking at the basic structure, the double helix of a DNA, that this thing looked like a radio antenna. It looks like a tuner, and it's the thing is, it's code, it's program, and we call that a genotype, and a genotype is how it looks in code. And a phenotype is the expression of it. So if you're looking at a video game, for example, the computer codes will translate into a picture of the game, and that's the expression of the game. So the avatars in the game are directly going to be determined by the code that is written. Well, in human biology, you're basically dealing with the same thing. The code, the DNA is a computer code. And if you change the computer code, you change the phenotype or the expression. This is done you see this in genetic modification of plants, of birth defects. What are birth defects? They're DNA codes that go wrong, and you have an avatar that doesn't come out right. So you see the code. It's very, very plausible and very possible that the genetics here have been changed. We have evidence of all of a sudden where you see different types of skulls and skeletal systems and animals that just change. Of course, we're going with officialdom, but yeah, there's good possibility of that might be.
So, Chris, I know you talk a lot about those giant doors and entranceways. Are you thinking that maybe we were more like giant size?
I think all options are on the table. There could have been different species within, existing here at the same time. So where I'm at with that, and I get the giant doors, but there's also a lot of regular sized doors and regular sized steps too, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not coming out and then drawing a line in the sand here with whatever I'm saying. I'm just, all I know for sure is that the timeline is wrong. Anything else
Yeah.
is possible. And I'm not coming out saying for sure I know that angels built that cathedral. I'm not coming out
Right.
and saying for sure giants built that, because I can't say that. That makes me, that actually is tinfoil hat as far as I'm concerned. I'm just trying to stick with what's tangible and say there's no way that building was built in 6 or 9 months in Duluth and in the winter, that kind of thing, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
enough. That's enough for me. The rest, I love speculation. I could speculate all day long.
Yeah,
It's people who
it's
think
all
that
speculative.
you're not solidifying what you know. You're just peeling back the crap.
Right.
Yeah, and one of the criticisms people will say that watch productions like what you and I do, and is they'll say that there's no way you can prove that, and you're right. There's not, because we're looking at a puzzle that has 1,000,000 pieces, 100,000,000 pieces, and some of those pieces are in bad shape, and some of them are not present, and some of them are dented. We're trying to put this back to create some semblance of a picture to tell us what has happened really here, and we don't know if we'll ever put it together properly. But the only thing we really know.
Oh, is that we know nothing at all. I'm trying to finish John's sentence. I told you they might freeze up here. But anyway, this is our book, available on Amazon. A couple other links you can get it at if you watch the trailer that's linked here. The view count won't go up if you watch it, but you can access these links, and you can pre-order this thing. This is set for release November 28th. I think that's American Thanksgiving. I'm up in Canada. Our Thanksgiving has come and gone. But we sort of set it up for this timeline. Might make a good Christmas gift. I was going to share with you guys as well the table of contents, so let me do that. And we're going to get into the content of the book itself and talk about the writing process. It was really kind of John who kicked me in the butt on this one and said, let's put some of these ideas down on paper. And I thought, yeah, you know what, that's not a bad idea actually. It's nice to solidify some of your thoughts on things, especially when you're going through a lot of the muck with this stuff. It's sort of a way to pull your ideas together, I found, going through the writing process, which I haven't done a lot of. So I definitely, I'm grateful to John for pushing me in that direction. He's back.
Yay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I don't know if you caught all that, but I segued over to our table of contents.
Okay,
So I thought we could get into that maybe.
sure.
I'm going to try to make it bigger here. Let's see. So I was just sharing my experience with writing. Mentioned how you had kind of encouraged me to put some of the stuff onto paper, which I haven't really done. So I was saying I do appreciate you pushing and guiding me in that direction as we went through this book. I think it has a lot of value to put your ideas on paper to sort of round them out, and connect them in different ways. There's a different thought process going on there. So I enjoyed doing this with you guys.
We did too, right? I mean, yeah, it was fun. I love to put things to paper, and or in the on the word processor.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Nowadays, we're old world. But
Typewriter.
I
You're a
think,
typewriter guy, aren't you? No, just kidding.
yeah. I used to write on a typewriter, Smith Corona typewriter.
Nice.
I write nowadays. I write on a phone or a tablet or a word processor, but it's amazing. Yeah, this was a great project. I thought that it was something that we needed to do after speaking with you, and I talked with Melissa, and I thought that we could put a book together. The goal was to kind of look at all the different things that are going on in the old world research field, and not go into such depth that that we were going to dig real deep. But at least this book, I think, serves as maybe a launching point for people that are just coming into it, and it gives them a direction of where they might want to go to do more boots on the ground research. And don't you think? I mean, I think that's what it does.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a little bit of a motivation to say, well, I'm going to go out, I'm going to go walk around my town, and I'll know what to look for. I'll have an idea of what may have happened here. I love the fact that this is coming together this way, where people from all these different communities, and I see it with my videos. That's the best part of what I do with my channel, is the comment section. Is people like, oh man, I live in such and such, and it's crazy old world here, and I live. It's everywhere, and it's amazing that of course it's everywhere. It's what was,
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I somebody that just comes into this type of a pod.
Oh, froze again. Yeah, I think that's important, guys. Is realizing that the old world is we're connected to it. We're connected to it, and really, it's just it's the lies of the inheritors that we are battling against in our own consciousness, and it's easier to defeat that interference or to um, eliminate that interference when you share these things with people that are seeing the same thing. A lot of us have trouble seeing that in our day-to-day lives, or having those types of conversations. I'm sure many of us don't have anyone in our lives that we can speak this way to. So it's nice to have this medium to share our thoughts with each other. And on that note, actually, I'm going to I am inviting any of you that are watching to join us on screen if you like. Let me just put the banner. I'm trying to get all tech savvy here. Here we go. So I did share the link to the show, and I'll just leave that running at the bottom. And if you want to jump in, no pressure on anyone. But if you feel like sharing your thoughts, just like John and Melissa and I are doing here, this is very informal, and it's just a way to get those juices flowing. So, are you there, John? I think your mic is muted.
They might be
There you
playing with us. Sometimes they play with us.
Our internet has been spotty.
Yeah, not this spotty though.
That's because you're a deep state target, John. That's why you're a deep state target.
Yeah. Target
No,
list.
I just your target list. Let's talk a little bit. Just give me like 30 seconds on the target list. I could see it in the background there, and people.
Oh, it just happens to be there on the wall. We put it everywhere. Just shamelessly plug our movie constantly. We're very happy with the target list. We're featured on Tubi, on the front page of homepage of Tubi. It's been on and off. And the movie's doing very, very well. We believe that a couple of million people or more have seen the movie already, and I'm sure they love that, because the underlying message of that movie is that somebody's not your. I got to be careful what I say here.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. I forgot. Yeah,
I forgot we're on that, so I got to censor myself. But yeah, let's just put it this way: the underlying message of that movie is not appreciated by the controllers of our world. So, but it's target list. You check it out on Tubi, Amazon, Apple TV, YouTube, Stash Movies on YouTube, the Roku channel. It's everywhere. It's doing. We're happy.
I actually thought it was quite funny, quite humorous watching it too. Like I liked the way it kept everything in check that way, and kept you kind of, we
wrote a little bit of comedy into it to make it a little bit more palatable for the audience. Most of the things when I write a lot of fiction, but my fiction has a lot of truth sprinkled into it. There's always something in one of my stories that will have something that's got some importance to it.
Sure. Yeah, so we can see some of the headings here, the chapter headings, in the for the book that's about to come out here on Thanksgiving Day, American Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
False timeline. We're talking about a lot of this. This kind of just naturally flows with our conversation. That's kind of why we wrote the book, I think, too. I like the. You wrote a lot about our perceived reality. Living in the Matrix. I think the Matrix is a great analogy for world that we live in, and the control system they put in place for us. You know,
Yeah,
everyone.
I believe we're living in a matrix. I think I scare the heck out of a lot of people when some of the conversations. I can really be a person that can clear out a room with conversations. So I got to be careful when I speak, because I do not want to, alienate myself or Melissa, or I don't want to also, make other people feel bad. I don't ever want to hurt anyone else, others belief, their belief system or belief constructs. But when I talk about the matrix and when I write about it, a lot of people, they'll get uncomfortable because they think that by me saying that we're living in a matrix or a simulation, that I believe there's no divinity or there's no God, that I'm an atheist, which is the farthest thing from the truth. I believe that there's an intelligence, a God, a little bit different than most people probably perceive it. But I don't think there's any chance that any of this has been designed by accident. I mean, it doesn't make it's too intelligently designed. I just think that whatever intelligence or creator did it used this type of a system to bring souls together, and they're expressed in avatars this is what life is here. Can I prove it? Can't prove anything, but there's a lot of evidence from a microbiological standpoint that suggests that's exactly what's happening here. If you talk to quantum physicists who in string theory, and you look at theoretical physics models, a lot of what I have known personally for many, many years seems to be plausible. So, but we can't know for certain, and I could be wrong. Sure, I could be wrong. And I'm not trying to tell people because we write it in this book and we explore it. This is a conversation. This book is a launching point. And we're not saying that it has to be this way. Could not be. Maybe it's not this way. But I think I speak for, Melissa and myself. I don't know. I think we're pretty much on the same page in that we do believe that there's a matrix here, and that we're here experiencing things. We're in a 3D holographic reality. And when we say that, you hear people say, what is a 3D holographic reality? It's what we're living in. When you think about, Chris, when you think about the things we see, the things we hear, the things we smell, the things we taste, the sensory transformers in our physiological bodies take frequencies and they create or transfer them into intelligible pictures in the world does not look like it looks to us in our perceived reality. The reality is it would look nothing like it does. But our brains are computers that take frequencies. We hear frequency. We smell particles that fluctuate between frequencies and particles. So that's what I mean by that. And
Yeah. This is a great opener. I feel like this deserves a deeper dialogue for sure.
Yeah. I think. I think we're in. Our matrix reality has been overlaid by these parasites. For some reason, they were able to weave a web over top of what reality should be, and they've created this false reality, a prison for our minds, really, more than anything. Physical prison too, but definitely a prison for our minds. And I think we're in the time of human existence where we're becoming aware of it, and once we become aware of it, it's game over. We just need to admit it and become aware of it, and I think it's game over. I actually already do think it's game over, but there's a lot of people that still haven't woken up to the fact that there's this illusionary matrix reality that we need to snap out of. It's literally like saying snap out of it, guys.
And another thing, Chris, is that I think that the way that this works, and again, I'm talking speculatively. I'm not trying to be. I'm pretending I'm clairvoyant or anything. I just think that the way that this place works is whatever you perceive things to be, to some extent, they come to fruition. And so that's why I think a lot of energy and resources are spent by the powers that be to highly influence us in one direction or another, because our reality is what we believe it is. Our limitations in a lot of situations are what we believe them to be, within reason. I do think that we're here to learn. I think that there's an experiential knowledge that's garnered from being here is very, very important. I think that we have a small group of of the few controlling the many here, or highly influencing them. And I go on with, I can go on and on, but that's what I'm thinking.
This is a great comment here from Lost and Found History Rewritten. Energy goes where energy is focused. So that's what I like about the old world, is we're focusing on what was there, the energy of what was there. So I think this field of research is providing hope to a lot of people who thought there was no hope, right? When you start to realize the whole timeline has been rewritten, that there was a much, much greater civilization here than we have ever been told existed. That breathes new life into a lot of people, and that's why it's so uplifting, I think.
I agree with you.
And another thing too is it shortens the timeline. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, these malevolent beings, parasites, have been in control of us for thousands of years." I say no to that. I think that's part of their illusion. I think it's part of their false illusion to make us feel like we've been under their thumb for such a long time. That's them stretching out the timeline. And what we're finding here is, like, this is fairly recent. This is only in the last couple hundred years that this happened, and that we were much more not that long ago. Right.
That's where I agree with you. I mean, I agree with most of what you say anyhow. but yeah, I think that the illusion is that this is a much older place than what we think. And of course, what is time, and it's relative. But I do believe that there has been a reset here, and possibly others. There could be multiple resets that have been here. I don't know for certain, but there certainly appeared to be, from the construction and the evidence that's left behind, that there are multiple resets, that the avatars or the beings that lived here were genetically different. Their expression was genetically different. The phenotypic expression of that. Again, these are speculative things. We're not claiming. I don't remember.
Maybe it is a loop too. Maybe it's a loop where we rise and fall, like anything, right? Maybe it's just a loop where we're just in this part of the loop where we've fallen, and we've been fallen for quite some time, and then that's
my
sometimes
feeling for that.
Yeah, I think about the fallen angels concept. It's people say, I think we are the fallen angels in that regard. Not to get biblical, but we can get to a higher level, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of there appears to be a lot of truthful information in biblical writings. Now, it depends on which biblical writings when you say biblical writings, there are just in the Christian faith, there's like 600 books that make up the Bible, with a lot of rewritings, a lot of re-edits and things like that. But how long when we talk about that, are we talking about thousands of years, or are we talking about hundreds of years? And are we talking about one reset, two reset? How many, so we don't know that. And of course, that's blasphemous, what I'm saying, probably to some people that probably don't like that. But I don't do it in questioning things. I don't do them out of disrespect. I do that because that's my nature. I'm not saying that I'm right or someone else is wrong, but I do have the intelligence, the brain to question things, and I will.
Yeah, I see it as archetypal. I see Bible stories and a lot of other texts. They have the underlying archetypal narratives, the good over evil concept, and a lot of the different struggles that appear. Because we don't know, we have no idea how much was written for us in the last couple hundred years. Pretty much everything, right? So I'm sure there's underlying elements that are in the Bible that these. This parasitic force doesn't want us to continue to adhere to, and that could be what sort of we're getting at there. Why they're so against that part of the Christianity and the whole Christ thing, because there is definitely an anti-Christian element to the forces that are in control right now, right? So.
There's no doubt about that. This is a place, this matrix or this universe or whatever, this existence there's polarities. It's the the dark versus the light, or the light versus the dark, the good versus the bad. You can see it, and if you look at what's going on in the world, or the realm, as I like to say, you can tell that there's definitely what from a Christian, Judeo, Islamic perspective, the three religions would call evil. There's evil in the world, but But if that's always that's what goes on here. This is the dance. It's the dance with evil and good. And is it judged outside of out of the construct, or is it just something that is judged by the people in the construct? And or is it do you need to experience the bad and the good in order to gain and garner experience and knowledge? And so who knows? We don't know. You know?
And I think evil has consolidated power here in this realm, and I think we are now in a pendulum swinging back away from that power, and I think it's going to swing back far in the other direction. I think we're in the early stage. But we got to go. Right. We have to crawl through the muck, and that's what we've been doing these last couple of years, especially, is crawling through the muck of the world they set up for us. Now we're in the deprogramming stage, and that's a painful process too. But it's also, there's a lot of hope in that deprogramming, right? And that's what I enjoy being a part of, and I'm sure you do as well. Is seeing people wake up, and then that life force is regenerated inside them, because people stuck in the matrix right now, they've got no spark. That's what I'm seeing. They're drones. They've got no spark. They have to find their spark, right?
I saw someone wrote a comment on here while we were speaking. They said, have you ever heard of a soul trap? And a lot of people think that's what this is. I don't know if it is or not, but I think that you need to learn as much as you can here while you're here. And if that means exploring, other possibilities and alternate realities, then so be it. But I think that the old world information and the presence of these buildings and structures that we see realm-wide are a pretty good indication that the information that we've been taught since our earliest conscious memories is not that reliable.
I think it also tells us this doesn't have to be a trap, this place, because it can be much more, and it has been much more. So we don't have to succumb to they'll always be in control of this realm mentality, right? I think we have to get up and over that hump, and we have to push through that. But you mentioned the realm, and I wanted to bring this up before we get into your slideshow. You recently had David Weiss for an interview, and had that over on your website. You want to share a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, it was a great experience. So David Weiss, for those of you who don't know who David Weiss is, you will recognize his name. He's Flat Earth Dave. His website is flatearthdave.com. Check him out. Interesting fellow. So David Weiss was a very successful businessman, entrepreneur. Was making a lot of money in the U.S. business system, and he gave it all up. He threw everything away because he believed that the Earth was not a globe, that we were living on a flat Earth, and that we weren't a ball spinning in space. So about 6 or 7 years ago, I had gotten into this and wanted to debunk it. I thought it was ridiculous, and so I set out on a personal research to try to debunk it. And the more I looked into it, the more I couldn't debunk it, and it just became kind of like an obsession with me to what's going on here. And so I write a lot of different articles about, I'm not going to say the Earth is flat or the Earth is a globe. I really don't know. I've never been to outer space. And I think there's only been about 16 or 17 astronauts that have claimed to be in outer space and that have been far enough, according to what NASA says, to even see the shape of the Earth being a ball. So I can't tell you if it is or not, but I can tell you this, that based on the Earth curve calculators that is supplied by NASA and others, there are some serious flaws with the projections and calculations, and I found that out myself years ago. Where they were putting two lasers 100 miles apart or whatever they were, and they were firing them, and you shouldn't be able to see the other laser or hit the other laser because it should be under the. If it's a ball, it should be under. So, but they couldn't do it. They could hit them. And then, of course, when we were going to school, they told us that you could see the ships sailing out over the ocean, and it would go over the horizon or below the horizon line, and that was proof that the Earth was a ball. And now when they developed telescopic binoculars and lenses, you can bring those images back into focus when you shouldn't be able to. But anyhow, long story short, I was writing an article maybe a month ago about the International Space Station, the ISS. And I wanted to know what the flat Earth community's perspective was on that, and I had no idea how to. Couldn't find any information, so I found David. Flat Earth Dave's website, and I wrote to him. And I was in the mall with my wife, and we were getting pizza, and he called me on the phone, and he talked to me for 35 minutes. I said, I got to interview this guy. So we did it. He set up an interview, and then the hurricane came, and we had a terrible hurricane here, Helene, and we lost power, and that was right in the middle of when I was supposed to do the interview. So I had spotty internet connection with my phone, and I got in touch with him, and I said, let's do it as soon as this thing clears up. So we did it. We did it last week, I think it was, and it was a great interview.
Check it out for sure. If you guys haven't seen it, go over to John's website and check that one out for sure. And I was inspired to have him on as well after you had him on, because you can't, if you're doing it, I got to do it.
Yeah,
he's a good friend of yours.
Yeah, he loves the old world.
I
know, the old world material. So he's looking forward to being on your show. I know that.
Yeah, he's coming on at the end of November, and what I'm going to try to do, because I don't need to be convinced of the NASA stuff. I think actually where the spinning ball is part of the matrix trap of illusion. I think it's actually one of the anchors to the matrix trap of illusion, is to keep you thinking you're on that spinning ball and you're ripping through space. It's very satanic, pretty obviously, when you look at the numerology involved. And I think it's a part of their little magic spell system. So I want to steer him to the extra land, extra terrain. I'm going to try to steer him in that direction. Of course, get into the old world with him too. I mean, he's not very steerable, though. He's a hell of an interview. A very intelligent man, and a very, very warm presence. I think he has. He's very tuned into to that end of it.
I can tell you, he's the same way off the air as he is when he's on the air. He's doing this. He's not, I read a lot of content, comments about him on different videos, and people call him a scammer or this or that. He's not doing this because he's a scammer or trying to. He's not making a lot of money doing that. So, but it's just an interesting interview, and your audience will enjoy it, I'm sure.
That'll be a good interview.
Yeah, there's you guys, have you heard of Vibes of Cosmos? That's a YouTube channel. So this has to do with the moon map, and the reflection of the moon is actually, you can find the entire continents of Earth as we know it, and a certain portion of the moon's reflection.
Yes, I have heard that.
And of course, there's lands beyond on the reflection on the moon.
Yes. So that would go with what you're saying, with your, the interesting area of study you're talking about is the lands beyond the polar, or not the polar, but the ice fields. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we don't even know if we do have these ice walls. Are they even there? No, we haven't been there, so we can't say we know, right? Right? We don't know that there aren't other continents out in the middle of the ocean, because no one's ever been close to it, right? So it's
a great point.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things to explore there. I wanted to just going to share a quick link here while we're talking about Vibe of Cosmos. I'm just flexing my.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
I just want to share. Okay, this might hurt my computer. We'll see. All right. So those of you that are familiar with Vibes of Cosmos, this one blew my mind. The name of this video is called Mordor Location in Pangaea. So it's having trouble loading, of course. This Vibes of Cosmos guy, I guess, I don't know much about it, but I've just watched a few videos. I guess he calls it Pangaea. This is the reflection of the moon, and he's turned it all to green, all the different colors to green. What blew me away was that he took J.R.R. Tolkien's map of Middle Earth and superimposes it over this portion, and it's a perfect fit. It's a perfect fit. Now, I'm sorry it's not loading, but if you guys are interested, you can check that out. I'll put that link in the description too. This will blow your mind. This one will absolutely blow your mind, what he does here. And I don't. Oh, you can watch him scroll around. So he's taken the moon reflection map and then changed the colorization, so you have the green of a certain color that
Right.
right, that what he considers, I guess, to be land. I mean, it's all speculation, but and then
So in summary, what this gentleman is saying is that when you're looking at the moon, you're looking at a reflection of Earth, and that reflection is showing the other lands that we don't know about.
exactly, and it's got Hyperborea in there, which is the 4 continents at the North Pole. It's really quite incredible, and I didn't plan to show this, so I don't have it saved there, but this one will absolutely blow your mind, and it makes you wonder what Mr. Tolkien had access to.
Oh yeah, we have like a
We know
said
he had
that
access to the Oxford libraries, right?
yeah.
We've discussed that so many times that, where did these people come up with these tremendous stories? They're so detailed with the maps and everything, and there's probably some truth to what you're saying there.
I have a little knowledge there. I
find it very interesting, and if there is more land and we can actually see that reflection on the moon, because the moon is a reflection. I don't think it's a spinning ball. Or is the moon spinning? No, it's not. So let's just go to the NASA model for a second, and we'll appease the censors. Does the moon spin, or does it just sit there as we're spinning in the same spot, sort of? Is that I'm asking. I don't know the theory. How does that work?
So what it does is, yes, it does spin, and we spin at the same time. The way that if you go on my website on No Fake News, I actually wrote an article about it. So we're spinning simultaneously in synchronicity with it, so we always only see the one side. And I mean, that's the official.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is some serious mental gymnastics.
Look up, Chris. Can you pull up my website? I don't know if you can. It'll say, just put like in the search engine, is the moon? Is the moon spinning? Let's see. Put in there. Does the moon spin? Put that in there. See if it pulls it up. I have so many things on that.
I mean, it's worth the conversation for sure.
Yeah, but it shows you the reason that we only see.
All right, where's your search bar? How do I search? Oh, here.
Yeah.
The magnifying glass. I should have known that. Does
the moon spin? Yeah, see if the moon spins.
That's amazing you answered that. I just learned something.
I'm a chiropractor, a conspiracy theorist, a flat earther, and a movie producer. Right. So I do a little bit of everything.
A few hats.
All things that I can't make a living with. I'm good at doing things that I can make no money with.
All right, so it's here we go. Why do we only see one side of the moon? Perfect.
Yeah, click on that thing.
Top one.
Yeah, click on the top one. It should put up, and there should be a diagram that I have put on there that explains it. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, just keep going down. You don't have to read it out, but there it is. There you go. It shows you what's happening. So as the moon is going around like that, it is spinning in synchronicity or at the same time so we only will ever see one side, even though the entire thing is allegedly spinning.
That is some serious wizardry. I mean, there's so many ways that could go wrong and should go wrong. But it doesn't.
It's amazing. So let's talk about this. All right. So we have the Big Bang Theory. Most of your people know what the Big Bang Theory is, but the Big Bang Theory is there was this explosion this mystery particle came, and then out of nowhere it exploded, and this happened billions of years ago. And from this explosion, anyone know of an explosion where the debris field causes organized matter? Well, this explosion caused organized matter and everything to form into spheres and balls and become completely organized. And it's spinning. We're rotating at 1,000 miles an hour. We're spinning we're going in another direction at 100,000 miles an hour. I'm obviously these are not accurate numbers. And then we're traversing through space at a 500,000 miles an hour. All this going on at the same time from an explosion. And this is how we got here. So what they want you to believe, in my opinion, is that there's no divinity, there's no intelligence here. This was just randomly put together we're an accident. And just be happy that you're here because it's an accident, and just don't worry about anything. That's ridiculous. I mean, how can that be? How can that be? If you had common sense, you realize that something intelligent put us here. I trained as a chiropractic physician. I went through 8 years of school. I was in anatomy lab, human anatomy cadaver labs. I can tell you by the dissection that I did that the human body was not put together by accident. There's no way. There's no way. So if people think that that's how we got here, they need to rethink that, because that's not how it happened.
I'm going to jump in. Somebody's asking about the logo. This is John's website, nofakenews.net.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me, is that a Masonic logo? And it's not a Masonic. It's not a Masonic logo. It wasn't intended to be. I actually found this design is what I wanted. So it's the sunlight, or the knowledge shining up from the base and moving up. So the people on the bottom were usually the recipients of a lot of unverifiable information. The people who know the least, because you always see the pyramid with the eye on the top, telling you that the people on the top are the enlightened ones, and as you go down the pyramidal structure, the people don't know what the heck's going on. Only the enlightened ones are at the top. The few control the many. In my model, the goal of No Fake News is to enlighten the people with the least amount of knowledge on the bottom and shooting it up. That's what I'm trying to do there. And that's what that.
We cleared it up. So the guys, it's not secret Mason trying to expose the Mason.
No, it's not. I did that. That's what I do. I'm not a Mason, but as a chiropractic student, I knew years ago that chiropractic was based on Masonic principles. There's 33 chiropractic principles, and it doesn't mean that chiropractic is bad. It just means it's an old world. It's an old world health discipline that was brought up, and they don't really want it to be out there because they want to marginalize chiropractic as back pain relief. And that's not what chiropractic is. Chiropractic gives you a better expression of health by removing interferences in the nervous system so that the total expression of health is, they don't want you to know that. And it's interesting, 1895, around the reset times, that's when chiropractic was relaunched as chiropractic. And so that's a very interesting thing.
Then, it sort of gets into how, like Michelle Gibson talks about, how they overlaid everything. So the Masonic organizations are an overlay of what was previously more in the more benevolent existence, a part of the structure that built these structures. They were actually Masons, right? It's anyway, let's get into your slideshow, and we'll keep chatting, of course. And anybody who wants to join us, add your 2 cents. Maybe you've been to DC. Maybe you want to talk about. We were trying to go DC theme just because that's what. So John and Melissa had a chance to go to Washington DC. Was it September? You guys were there?
Yeah, we went September the 12th through the 15th, and we stayed in an old world hotel called the Hamilton, which Melissa and I we like to do some vacations here and there, and we've been to a lot of places, but we wanted to do Washington again. We'd been to Washington before, but we wanted to look through it with the lens of the old world researcher now.
Seeing it for the first time.
And these pictures just don't really do justice to when you're looking at some of these buildings, and so and of course Washington D.C. comes with its own narrative, and it is the capital of the United States, and we were able to secure a tour to the Capitol complex, and we actually visited the Capitol itself, and we went through the tunnel systems that connect the Capitol complex to the Library of Congress and to the Capitol building, and probably other areas that are off limits. A lot of tunnels in Washington D.C.
You have a couple in here. Well, I'll try to get to keep.
And they allegedly were built in like the early 1802, and of course they've been refurbished. The official narrative goes,
what do we have here? you remember what this one is?
That building is that the hotel that
Bond building? Bond building, it says?
Okay, I'm not sure.
So,
These are a lot of those buildings are. Um, so that's probably just either a government building or a refurbished building that is a hotel.
Yeah.
I can't see too well here on that one.
but that's okay. You don't have to. I'm just thought you might know.
We're just really taken by all the intricacy on the building.
One building outdoes the next one, Chris. It's just like you look, you're walking down the streets and you say, "Look at these buildings."
Yeah.
And everything that we saw there speaks old world.
Yeah, very much so.
You look at the Department of Agriculture buildings. You look at the Department of the Treasury building. These are buildings that look like they've been there a long time, a real long time. But of course, they'll say they're some are built in the early 1900s or 1920s. Some are built older. The Smithsonian Castle, we saw that.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. Yeah. Hey, you're getting ahead of me here.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
You have to narrate as we go. I want you to share if you have anything that sort of comes to mind. Is this? These things blow me away. The stone cornices they have, and then the balconies some of them have.
It's so beautiful. The architect, the construction of it. You can tell an old world building really quick from one that was, the modular construction we see today. Mm-hmm. But of course, the narrative is that these were built in our timeline, in our civilization.
Yeah, the early 1900s. Most of these, they'll probably say.
Yeah,
or 1800s, depending.
And I just don't believe it. I don't think I don't think that that's possible. I wasn't there, but knowing what I have read about now and what I've seen in a lot of cities that we've gone and looked at in different places, I would say that this is on par with those constructions and even more so. But it's jaw dropping when you see it.
I think
Go ahead, Melissa.
I'm sorry. I think this one we were enamored by how much was there like at street level and down. These pictures right here, I'll show it. But you could see that there were many, many stories down, and
here you go.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's a very
So there, it kind of shows you like there's.
You get the impression that these things go a lot deeper.
Yeah.
than you're seeing. It's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you said so yourself. You were in the tunnels, in some of them.
So we were in the tunnels, and that is an incredible thing in itself. I don't know how many tunnels they said that they're in Washington D.C. there, but there are a lot of them. Yeah. And of course, we're not even talking about the White House tunnels, and but these things are amazing. And the one that we went to connected to the Library of Congress, and that was
I'm trying to envision the process of building those tunnels, or building anything before we had power. Like, you have to light your workspace, especially if you're enclosed. So you have to have some sort of flame source, I suppose. But you're battling the flame source for oxygen, and in the meantime, you're building these amazing arches and structures. Like, there's a massive disconnect between what they're telling us they did and what they actually did. You see, sometimes you see stupid pictures of builders with a candle on their chest, on like a metal breastplate with a candle coming out. It's like, I really can't see that being how they did this stuff. It really doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
It's hard to imagine that narrative is accurate. It is,
stupid,
but
right?
There are people that will say it is. They'll say that it is.
It's like Dave White says. He says, "You're not stupid. It's stupid." Right? Yeah. I love that one. You're not stupid, but it's stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
And this one has some of those nice deep archways, and I think it even went further down.
Oh man! Look under here.
Yeah, they're massive. I mean, it's just the I'm not, I'm not a
We're not
architect or builders, but you can tell that that's massive construction there, and the technology that would be needed to do that would be, you need a lot of equipment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
The
gosh,
precision. This precision just blows me away. Blows me away.
yeah.
The way
Yeah.
it's put together.
And you figure the power tool didn't come in until
1890, what, 5 or 1890, something like that. Power
Yeah.
tool.
You know what else
and
is
then
a big one too?
they didn't have cranes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they transport these things, from point A to point B? It's they want us to believe on one hand that they had, horses and buggies, and that, the president, Lincoln was born in a log cabin, and it was just, but then they got these things.
Disconnect with that. And I think some of these also show that some of these might have been there and then they built on top of it. So, when they say they found it, or,
Mm-hmm.
there's, I think, more to that than what they're telling us. It seems like on the bottom levels are a little bit different type of
Little
construction.
girthier. I've definitely seen that with some of the brick high rises. The bottom couple stories are stone, and then they
Yeah.
turn into brick and become a little more conventional on the tops. You also get the writing etched in along the tops here, which sometimes
Wow.
doesn't fit very well.
Yeah. It's
You
very
know.
intricate.
Oh
I mean,
man,
even
just
in that building, if you look like deep in there, there's all kinds of faces and statues, and just incredible.
Oh, we have somebody who would like to join us. I'm gonna bring Lost and Found. Oh, Lost and Found History Rewritten. Hello, sir.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Everyone, I'm
There
actually
you
and I can't help but join as all over the United States now at this point, looking at these buildings, research they're using, researching the techniques that they use. None of this makes any sense at all from a real standpoint. That they didn't see this stuff. It's insanity to believe that they would try to tell us that some horse wagon or donkey we're bringing.
Yeah. Right.
You're breaking up a little bit on my end, but I get the gist of what you're saying. That the narratives are just, they don't make sense. They don't align with what we see, at least in my considered opinion. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I got a private tour of the Castle of Denver with my 6-year-old. He was 6 at the time, and it was on a Sunday, and they let us see the bottom levels, and they are made of a completely different stone than the rest of the entire building. It doesn't even match at all. It has no to being the same in any way. The architecture in the basement looks completely different than everywhere else. So what we're seeing different stages of construction from different parts of our civilization or previous civilization.
Yeah. I will notice when they say founded, it was founded in 1850. That doesn't mean that they built it in 1850.
Well, they'll tell you that that's what they mean, but there's a lot of truth in the way they word things, code.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that, we manifest destiny. We went from the east to the west, and in the United States, we built, and all this was just Indians out there and cowboys and Indians. But yet you got castle-like buildings that are in parts of California and parts of Wyoming and other places that shouldn't be there, in Canada. It just doesn't make sense. You just don't throw up these buildings like seeds and put them out there and they just sprout.
Especially when you had a population so small for some of these cities. What did they need all those big buildings for?
Look,
I don't know how they did it.
I went to Spokane summer, and there are literally defy logic there. It's and coming in, and I did all the way from Denver, Colorado, all the way through Wyoming, through Idaho, through Montana, all the way up to Spokane, Washington, and all the way back. And every single city, every person that owned one of those old world buildings or had a business there said that there are tunnels under every single city. every single
Yeah.
city without.
Yeah.
And
That's incredible.
it showed us that there were tunnels underneath the building just there was a fire.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah, they love the fire stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Well, yeah. So the American history, especially, is being exposed for the lie that it is, and I think they did that to make. They used America, I think, to reset the rest of the world, as the catalyst to reset the rest of the world in the 20th century. So I think they had to get the false history in early in America, to justify what they needed to do for the rest of the plan, really.
That would make soldiers' homes and all the insane asylums that were everywhere. They were Americans to keep this narrative under wraps, so we would never know what happened.
Right,
Mhm.
right. We've
Yeah.
had conversations about
Yeah,
why so many asylums.
The mental asylums were, and you see this on a lot of content creators have brought this out into the public now. So it's a hot topic, but it's true. There were a tremendous amount of mental asylums that were, I won't say they were built. There are old world buildings that were repurposed and they were used, I think, to control people who disagreed with the new narrative that's coming out. So they make someone mentally insane and they put them away. And we see that today, not the same way, but they marginalize people. They assassinate people's character by calling them a conspiracy theorist. You're a conspiracy theorist. So when people are afraid to be ashamed. And one of the worst things that people they fear is being publicly shamed. So I see it on my website, like someone will say, "What are you, a flat earther, or what are you, anti this or that?" and I say I'm just a person that's trying to find out what's a more truthful explanation of what's going on, because the narratives don't make sense. I'm long past the part of being afraid to say what is on my mind. I don't care. I couldn't care less. So once you get to that point, it's really easy to move forward and to try to explore things, because they want to keep you. We all have boxes in our lives. They create boxes, and we enter these boxes in when we go to school, and it's very difficult to think outside of the box, because they don't want you thinking outside of the box. They want to keep you in every box that they've created. So once you're able to do that, if you can do your thinking outside the box and get away from the policemen and women that are trying to put you back in the box, then you are going to be able to figure out what's really going on in this realm. And there's a lot of things going on in this realm that are nothing like we have been taught.
Right.
Nothing. They've lied about everything. They've lied about everything that you can think about. Any subject. I don't care what the subject is. They've lied about it.
Exactly.
You don't have accurate information.
And
Now,
that's
please, lots of picture. I'm sorry.
my son, you see talking, right? I taught him about the conspiracy, that quote unquote conspiracy, I'll say, about our Earth being a globe, because the fact is we don't know. None of us have ever. If there is history that's ever been up there, they're not telling us. They're not. And I pointed out some of these photos are quote unquote blue marble, that they're 30 years apart. We've got the same cloud formation 30 years apart.
No stars.
Yeah.
I read a little bit.
We're only getting half of what you're saying, just so you know. But it is getting across, I think, what you're saying.
We know what he's saying.
Yeah.
Did you guys want to talk about this? This is the tunnel, right? Is this one of the tunnels that you went through?
This is one of the tunnel systems that we went into, that was leading from the Capitol complex of offices that leads to the actual Capitol, the dome Capitol of DC, and to the Rotunda, and also it leads to the Library of Congress. And this officially, when I asked our guide from the congressman's office, she said this was built in 1802 originally. Of course, there's a lot of work that's been done in the narrative, but I think that these tunnels were, for the most part, I think they've been there for a lot longer.
Sure.
Again, my opinion. my opinion.
Did ridiculous infrastructure for that time period to say that they
Yeah,
were
you
doing this.
figure, why'd they do that back then? What did they
It's
need
not
that
possible.
for?
Candlelight, right? Where they're doing it by it's so stupid. I just think it's stupid. We're not
It'd
stupid.
be
It's
tough.
stupid.
I can't envision how they would do it.
And look at all that opulence that they did by hand with candles. I mean,
The pictures again, the pictures that we took, they don't really do justice to when you're walking through this place and you see these unbelievable masterpiece buildings.
Yeah, and a lot of art, Chris. You were talking about good and evil and all that. You see a lot of art depicted in the Capitol, certainly the Library of Congress. A lot of battle of good and evil. It was very interesting to see that, and then you see some things that you wonder why is that there, but I think we have a good idea why.
Yeah.
Fasces all over the.
Yeah. We actually got into the part of the building where the president does the State of the Union.
You guys still have a president?
We didn't see the president. We got into the part of the where they do the State of the Union.
I didn't think there was a sitting president right now down there.
You go in there, you have presidential things, and then you've got Greek things, and you've got things that just seemed out of place.
You'll see pictures in here. We actually got to the White House. We got a tour of the White House, and we were in there for about 30 minutes, and that was pretty interesting. But yeah, these are inside I think that's inside the Capitol.
Yeah.
This area really blows me away from the Library of Congress.
Oh yes,
this
is mind blowing. When I first saw this building, like what?
You can't imagine how. I mean, you just stand there. Your jaw drops.
Yeah.
And it's so big, and it's so solid.
All this intricacy.
It looks like it's been there a long time.
That is all marble. That doesn't age, doesn't tarnish. Like it could have been there for a very long time.
Could be there a long time.
Until fire comes.
Yeah. No fire gonna take that down.
Well, the fires, the great fires. That's right. Yeah.
And all that is all interesting pictures. Nothing's duplicated.
Unbelievable.
And
that's in the States. Like this is not something we're ever taught. It's not something that they tell us.
So in this one, you've done a map of Nurembergia. Is that how you say it?
Nuremberg. Yeah, Nuremberg.
Now it's done one map with that on it, out of the whole place.
Yeah.
It was in the people.
But we didn't have the time or the ability to access that. But I'm sure it's hard to get that information. That information.
It's nice to get it.
Yeah. There's a whole. That's just the symmetry and oh my god, I don't know. That's what got me into this stuff. Like I'm kind of feel like I'm past that I'm blown away stage, but I'm not when I see stuff like this.
Yeah, you'd really have a good time looking at this, Chris.
Oh yeah. And so many of the capitals are shaped like our capital.
Our state capitals
Yeah,
they're all pretty much look the same way. Not identical, but they have that same look, and definitely old world style, something that you would expect to see somewhere in Europe. And the thing is, in Europe, the historical narratives are more, I guess, palatable or believable because based on the officialdom, they're much longer time span there, timeline, as I call them, not timeline, timelines. But here in the U.S., where your country is not that old, you still have buildings that look pretty much like that here. And so it's just...
That's even after all the demolition that's gone on, right? That so many have been demolished, but so many do still stand. And they've managed to hide it in our consciousness. They're hiding it in our perception. And once we become awake to it, like you said, Melissa, it's like going to these places for the first time. Once you become awake to it.
Yeah. We have been to Washington, D.C., I think 3 times before. And this time I felt like a little kid because we were just like pointing
Yeah.
out that that's old world. That's old world. That's not.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Incredible.
We look at things completely different
Yeah.
now, Chris, because of you.
I know. Like we can't watch movies the same.
We can't.
You can't. Yeah.
We have a hard time we go out to dinner with people. We have a hard time communicating with anyone anymore because I got to be careful what I say because I don't want
Well,
And I'm excited about this. I love talking about this.
I blame guys like John Levi. They'll get
I
I blame
Yeah.
them for me.
We watch John. We watch John, and we watch my lunch break, and we watch you, and and some others, and the stuff that I've been involved with for a couple of decades. I have some pretty in-depth theories of what's going on. For me, it tied everything together because when I saw the old world buildings, those constructs or constructions, I knew right away that I was on the right track. That this made sense because I'll talk a little. I just want to talk a little. We're taught that we're billions and billions of years old. This existence, and we can see into the distance with magical glasses. We can look with telescopes, and we can see the results of the explosion. And we can go back and we can use carbon dating, and we can tell that there were dinosaurs that were here, and they're hundreds of millions of years old. So we're just this insignificant piece of dust that's in the middle here, and by accident. But the one thing about diagnostic tools is that they can be fabricated. The results can be fabricated, and I won't get into specifics of that type of. But let's talk about carbon dating, and what makes us believe that dinosaurs existed hundreds of millions of years ago is carbon dating principles. And the thing is, with carbon dating, when you try to put that on fossils, it only registers for a couple thousand years old because the fossilization or the petrification doesn't allow an accurate reading according to the officialdom. So they kind of date things around it that they claim that they can. So that's how they get these numbers. And there's other isotopes they measure that dissipate over time. But when it comes right down to it, there's a lot of people in the scientific community that don't believe in the veracity of carbon dating. And when you look at what has happened in our realm, it looks like something of significant heat has severely scorched a big part of the United States and South America and Africa and other places. And that's where you find a lot of dinosaur bones in out in the Midwest and western part of the United States, So people assume that those bones are from dinosaurs and that they're hundreds of millions of years old because that's what we're told.
Oh, rose up.
Uh-oh.
I can't believe John believes in dinosaurs. Doesn't he know?
The Bone Wars. Have you heard about the Bone Wars?
No.
Oh, so two guys apparently in the late 1800s, early 1900s found all the different species of dinosaurs in the Bone Wars, and they were fighting to see who could find the most.
Huh.
That my
Wow.
friend told me about this a couple years ago, and that was what started my research into all of this. And then I learned about John Levi, and I learned about my lunch break, and that was when I started my channel. I couldn't take it anymore. After having my eyes opened, I could no longer take the fact that these buildings were everywhere and nobody was looking at them anymore. It was like it was swept under the rug. The children don't even realize that these buildings exist anymore. My son was born into this knowledge. He will never see the world the way that they want him to. He will only ever see it the way we do. And that was why I started teaching him at a young age. As a matter of fact, I laughed when you said that stuff about the presidency because I changed my citizenship this year. I joined another nation, got ambassador status. I don't participate in politics whatsoever. I don't want any of that. Started researching law and legal terminology. I pulled myself out of all of this. I couldn't do it anymore. It's too much fabrication, too many lies, too many false narratives, and just everything is just hidden from us. It's all so buried under the rug.
Yeah. It's an interesting time to be alive, though, seeing this all surface. All these things, all these ideas. I think we're in a sort of a 10-year gestation period now with a lot of the subject matter. like the flat Earth
Absolutely.
and
It's
this
it's
stuff.
still bubbling away in the pot, waiting to come out and be served to everyone is what's happening.
Yeah, and then we're kind of like the early arrivals, like the old fur trade
With the early
years.
pioneers, yeah.
Yeah, we're in our canoes with our furs and our tobacco pouch, but most people, or a lot of people, are just copying onto this, right? And
Yep.
metaphorically speaking, the railroad is being built now for people to come into this content and subject matter.
Yes,
And
and I introduce people into this every single day. I talk about it every single day of
oh,
my life. I can't get enough of this information and looking into exactly what's gone wrong with our civilization and how we just have people just spitting out what they believe to be facts when it's only something that they've ever been told. They never did research into it. They've never
yep,
looked into any of this stuff. It's just something they've been told and they're regurgitating it, and that's something that I, as a child, I realized something was very wrong with everything that they were telling me. I hated school. I've gone to college twice, and I still see the
yeah.
same problems. It's just that you're just regurgitating knowledge. Nobody's really doing any type of research anymore, and it's just the same stuff being peddled everywhere.
Yeah, so this is
So
your
true.
channel. If people want to come check you out, Lost and Found History Rewritten. This is it, right?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I had my 16-year-old daughter. I finalized my logo up there, my Griffin, and
Yep.
that was one of my own handwritten drawings there. And
Cool.
Oh, that's
I've
great.
got a good
Very
introduction
cool.
on my channel. I've got tons of videos. I've got another 200 videos I still need to add to my channel that are sitting on
Well,
my iCloud. Like I said,
Cool.
I did probably 150 locations in a 3-week period when I did a 3-week vacation with my son up to Idaho.
Good
Nice.
for you.
Nice.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Very good.
I'll have
Very
to
good.
do this. I'm gonna do something like this again and calling all smaller channels because I'm such a big channel now. But
Yeah, I'm glad you
people that
guys
want to
are
come
out there.
promote their channels, yeah,
If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this right now. I found,
awesome.
old world exploration and New West reset, and I couldn't get enough of you guys. The Knuckleheads has got me laughing my head off. I I love your
Ricky, no, we
guys'
have fun.
lives. I love it. I love watching you guys. You guys are hilarious, and
Thanks, man. That's
we
good to
we all have
great
fun
to
with
know.
this. That's the whole thing, is we're having fun with this, and we're going out and looking at new places and places that just people aren't even looking at anymore. I've gone to some of the smallest little towns and still found these buildings, to maybe 2 or 3 still left in these tiny little buildings or these tiny little towns, And I actually just went to St. Joseph, Missouri, and
Oh yeah,
there that town has not had a great fire.
yeah. I did
It,
St. Joseph. That place blew me away. That
I went there
what
in
a
person and did videos.
yeah.
That place is insane.
Uh, uh, Boots on the ground. You got boots on the ground
Oh
videos of
yeah,
that?
that I only do boots on the ground.
Cool, cool. Yeah, we'll have to collaborate sometime moving
Oh,
forward. You can
absolutely.
share some of your stuff here on my channel. I'm all about that for sure. And I did say before I started today that I was going to try to go for about 90 minutes. So we're getting close to that. So if there's anything that we want to sort of sneak in here in the last 5 to 10 minutes, just wanted to let you guys know that's what I'm thinking for timeline on this. I could go for hours and hours, but I have to carve pumpkins with my kids and go to a haunted house. So full
Well, that
disclosure.
always sounds like fun with the children.
And you're
Church
back,
just
John?
burned down in Chile. The San Francisco church in Chile just burned down on October 11th. I've got a 20-second short video on my channel about that. Apparently,
Oh yeah.
9 people were hurt. It looked really bad. So, and of course, they have no idea what caused the fire.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that pop up these days, aren't we?
Oh, everywhere.
My computer's struggling here with. I need a better computer. I definitely need a better computer, but
You got to get some
so,
more RAM in there and a better processor.
yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? It's
I
I'm not a
used to
tech
repair
guy.
electronics many years ago, and I still repair cell phones and stuff like that. But I've kind of moved away from that since I started doing this research and started learning legal terminology and all this. I kind of moved away from all of that.
Oh yeah.
I teach people how to free themselves from the financial system now.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
Interesting.
That's
That's
great.
interesting.
Very good.
There's
Yeah, I'll
the
do a
post
couple of
office.
them.
Yeah,
You see
that's
the
the post office.
Absolutely incredible.
Because you need a building that big
Yeah.
to deliver all the mail, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
because
you got to store it somewhere. You got to store it somewhere.
You know, you need to definitely have a lot of letters.
yeah, I couldn't imagine how much more business they would do than Amazon, you know.
Right? Yeah, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. The narrative is ridiculous. You know.
It is. It is.
And all the high schools, when you look at all the high schools in the US,
Oh, that's another one.
that was the one that hit me hard when South High School in Denver has a griffin perched on the top of the gable above the
Mm.
front door. And when
Yeah.
I saw that,
I don't know.
I couldn't help myself. It was like one of those things when you see, you're like, that's not real. They didn't really do that, did they?
Mhm.
And then you look around the entire school, and there are places that have looked like what there were windows, and then they have these statue stands, but there's nothing there anymore. It's all gone. It's all
Yeah.
been removed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You have to wonder about the whole concept, the high
Well, they're
school
trying to hide
concept
it.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were they used for in the old world? Were they actually learning institutions, and was there a positive spin on it, or was there a different purpose? You know?
Or were they asylums, and not asylums, insane asylums, but asylums to seek refuge?
Mm. Yeah. The asylums, definitely.
All
That's interesting.
possibilities, you know, all
Yeah.
possibilities.
Yeah, the only thing I have is after researching this topic, it's just more questions, and it's just more speculation because we're never going to get the truth. They've destroyed the truth and hidden it so far deep underneath everything that the only way we're going to recover the truth is through introspection and meditation into what we've learned and line it all up properly.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it's not really about
I think-
convincing other people either.
Mhm. I suspect there are sources here, hidden from us, hidden libraries, Smithsonian's, Vatican's. I think these
Mhm.
places
That's
do exist, and there's a lot of. This is
I would
Yeah, that's a
expect
good
I would expect the Smithsonian to have the Library of Alexandria. They probably took everything from it and then burned it to the ground to make it look like it was all gone. That is my speculation on that.
Yeah, there's
Well,
definitely
now
hidden
it's
knowledge, right?
Oh, yeah. There's someone has it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're saying is give it back to the people, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
We're
that's
big
all
enough
we're
to
asking
handle the
for.
truth. We're big enough. We're old enough to handle the truth. It's like we're children. Like we're treated like children in society, the general public.
I think that's funny that you say that because for the same reason, 2 years ago, I told my son the truth about Santa. I couldn't take it anymore.
Oh yeah.
I just told him the truth. I don't have it in me to lie to him. I can't do it.
No, that's an awful. The whole Santa thing's awful, to be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely.
That died in our house a while ago. You know, I can't because of sort of what it's associated with too. It's whole that whole material. We talk about that briefly in the book too, don't we? In
Yeah, we wrote about it. We wrote a lot. We wrote about a lot of things.
let's
in there, but that,
we'll come full circle to our book before we sign off here. I just have to find it again.
The thing is with information, you know, the people that have information have an advantage, have leverage over people that don't have information. There are wars that are fought over information. There's information, there's misinformation, there's disinformative content that's intended to purposely, obfuscate and confuse people. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing to control information. And if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you've come from, then you don't know where you're going. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that the purposeful hiding of this information is it's not it's not an accident. They do this on purpose. And,
it's part of the control mechanism, right?
Yeah, because he who controls the past controls the present, and he who controls the present controls the future.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. So
Well
you
said.
get.
Well said.
Well, I'm going to sign off, guys.
Yeah.
I gotta give my kids some
Thanks for
food,
joining.
and I'm so glad I let you guys let me log on to the live chat. This has been awesome. I've been wanting to do this for the better part of a year now since I started my channel, and I look forward to seeing a lot of you guys more often.
Yeah.
Or drop me an
Thank
email
you.
and we can do a collaboration if you want to do that.
Oh, 100%. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd like to
no
hear
worries.
more.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right.
You too.
Night.
Chris, I was just going to say that last picture you had was the Smithsonian
Yeah.
Castle. And
Yeah. my computer is getting really, really stiff on me. Oh, there we go. Yeah. A huge lag.
it definitely
Yes, no, I
stands
know.
out from everything else.
Yeah, I remember in my DC video, the Smithsonian Castle was really interesting because it's so old, right? It's like 1850s or something like that, supposedly.
Yeah.
And they managed to preserve, what do they call them? Daguerreotypes of the construction process.
Yeah.
They have a picture of, just to prove to you that they're building it in the 1850s. They managed to snap a construction photo. I just think that's hilarious.
Chris, we see a lot of these, we see these pictures, these construction photos, and there are construction photos of different things, but the more you see these pictures, the more questions you have, because there's evidence of deception in those things. And and that's been pretty much proven at this point. So it just makes you more curious about what's going on from a researching standpoint. It's really strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we should do another one of these. Probably right when our book gets released. Might be a good time to do that, like a live release party, maybe.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and we can just do. I love opening up the floor like this. So we'd like to see more people jump in if they feel so inclined, and especially if you have a channel and you want to share it, come on and advertise your channel. Right? It's that's what it's all about. Is more people doing their own thing and contributing to the conversation. And the more of us do it, the more we make the case that to people that don't know yet that there's something wrong here. So, yeah. Any last words, John and Melissa, before we call it a night? I guess not, if you're frozen. So I might just call it there, guys. Oh, there. Are you there? I would like you to say goodbye in a proper way. You can't just freeze and leave. Come on, guys. That's not fair to the viewers or to me. All right, I'm not going to wait any longer. Thanks for watching if you joined this live, and if you're watching the recorded version, appreciate that as well. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and to check out my other videos. Till next time, guys. Old World Exploration out.